past tenses for distancing. This was our lesson last time, and today's lesson is modals for distancing. So you can say this is a continuation for the past or the last lesson. Modals for distancing. As a beginning, you know the modals: might, could, and would. So why do we use these modals in this case, in this topic for distancing? Let's see together and get started. Before this, as a beginning, I want you to go with me to page 96. Okay, so here we go. Okay, so as you see here, the beginning, I divided the lesson into points, so I want you to do so. Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and lastly 6. Please number it in your book as I did. Okay, the modal verbs could, would, and might are sometimes used instead of the present tenses when we want to make a question or request sound less direct. That means we want it to be more polite, more, let's say, tentative. Okay, let's get started. So we have here again, could you tell me where the nearest bank is? Could you tell me, instead of saying where is the nearest bank, where is the nearest bank? So we say, could you tell me where the nearest bank is? And here we have a note for you. Questions with modals do not use an auxiliary. Okay, so it's not, could you tell me where is the nearest bank? This is wrong. So we say, could you tell me where the nearest bank is? So this is number 1. We use could to sound less direct, more indirect, more tentative. Number 2. A more tentative way of making a request is could with possibly. As you see in the example, could you possibly tell me how to get to the station from here? Could you possibly? So we added another word, which is possibly. In this case, in this situation, we sound more indirect, more polite. Could you possibly tell me? So this is number 2. Number 3, we use would and might in requests and offers. So if you're not asking a question, you're making either a request or an offer, we use would and might. But there's a difference. Might is more tentative. Tentative, it means it's not fixed, it's not certain. You have this sound of, let's say, hesitation. Examples. Would you be interested in our latest promotion? Would you be interested? So this is like an offer. Look at these examples, and we have, might you take your feet off the seat? Might you take your feet off the seat, please? So this is a request, but in a polite way. Okay? Got it? So here we use would and might for requests and offers. Number 4. We can use might in the first person to introduce an indirect question in expressions such as might I ask you, instead of saying I want to ask you. Okay, so I'm talking to somebody, so I don't say I want to ask you a question. So we say, let's say you're asking and you're interrupting your teacher, so you say, might I ask you a question? Might I ask who your meeting is with? So this sounds more polite and more indirect. So we use might in the first person to introduce an indirect. So highlight it, indirect question. Number 5. Would. Would can also be used before verbs of saying and thinking to make a statement sound more tentative and an instruction less direct. Instead of saying I think, we say I would think we'll reach the hotel by 5 o'clock. I would think. Okay, so as you see, this sounds more polite. We would ask. We would ask. So we use it before verbs of saying and thinking. I would ask. I would say. I would think. So keep it in your mind. We use would before verbs of saying and thinking to make a statement sound more tentative. Got it? Keep them, and you have to memorize them, because there is an exercise in the student book, page 17, and maybe you will feel lost if you don't concentrate. Okay, let's move to the last point. We can use could, would, and might after the verb wonder. Do you remember this verb? We mentioned this verb and we talked about it in the previous lesson. Past tenses about distancing. Do you remember this one? Look at it. We were wondering if you wanted. We did not say we were wondering if you wanted. And in this case, it's the same. We say, I was wondering if you could do something for me. Okay? I was wondering if you could, not can, if you could do something for me. We wondered if you would or might, the same, give a donation to charity. Okay. So make it simple as it explained here in this short video. Just number these points and try to memorize them. Yeah, this is the best for you. And then go back to student book, page 17. Read again, learn this box, read it, and do exploit 1 and 2. Exploit 1 and 2. Thank you a lot. I want you to watch it many times, to study it hard, and then on Classera, I'll create a discussion room there, and you're welcome to add any question, any comment. Okay? Thank you a lot.